Hello and welcome to Rock Your Block. I am your host, Tia Young. Our guest today has known from age 6 that she wanted to be a chef. From the time her father taught her how to make scrambled eggs, she fell in love with the art of culinary excellence. After receiving her bachelor's and master's degrees, she also received an AAS in culinary arts from the Art Institute of Washington. She is the president of the AIW Culinary Club, winner of AIW Iron Chef competition. She was a Food Network Cupcake Wars contestant and has been featured on Fox News. Some of her distinguished clients are the NASA Exchange Store, Department of the Interior, Department of Labor, Ronald Reagan Building, Government Service Administration, Sony Online Entertainment, Staples, TV One, and Comcast Sportsnet. I could go on and on, but it is time for you to welcome Chef Lynnette Jackson to our Rock Your Block set. Lynnette, welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm great. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for pulling away from all the busy work that you have to do to come and share with us today.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
Well, let's start out by you telling us about Lynnette's Cakes and Catering.
Sure. I started Lynnette's Cakes and Catering in 2006. As you said before, I always have loved to cook, and I always wanted to start my own business. I started right out of culinary school. I graduated one day and started the business the next day.
Wow.
So I've been in business ever since. We house our business inside of the Annandale Volunteer Fire Department. We run their concession stand twice a week, and we deliver cupcakes all over the place and food all over the place, and just try to make people happy as much as we can.
I'm curious because with your father taking you in the kitchen at 6 and teaching you how to make scrambled eggs, is your family involved in the business?
Definitely.
How so?
Well, they help me out a lot. I was mentioning my mom. She runs my cash register for my concession stand at the Annandale Volunteer Fire Department. One of my aunts comes in and helps. One of my cousins is my assistant baker.
Wow.
I have a cousin that goes with me to make all of my deliveries. She knows all of my customers. And if she's not with me, they say, "Where's Brittany? She's supposed to come with you." So our customers are our family, and then my family becomes their family. So it's really a great thing. We love it.
Well, I'm noticing, I was about to ask you if your signature product was just desserts, but we can see you have the scrumptious disc here.
Definitely.
Tell us about this food before I eat it up myself.
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
I know we're supposed to be sharing later, but I don't know.
Oh, yeah. We also do food. We cater parties all throughout Washington, D.C., Maryland, and Northern Virginia. We have a lot of offices that we provide sandwiches for, and they get baked salmon and crab cakes, depending on what they want to eat for the day. So we definitely do catering. We do private events in people's homes. We do things for service organizations. My mom is a member of the Kiwanis. We cater their parties sometimes. So we do a lot more than just baked goods, as you can see.
Right. Well, tell us a little bit about the baked goods that we have here.
Sure. We have a few of our cupcakes. We make over 20 flavors, but generally every week we do about 14 to 15 flavors to take to our farmers markets and different things we're going to do. The ones we have today are key lime, which is a lime actual cupcake with lime in the batter, cream cheese frosting and a fresh lime on top. We have a chocolate peanut butter, a red velvet, our new strawberry lemonade, which my mom said made her just go like this. We have a hummingbird in the center, which is a carrot cake with crushed pineapples, walnuts, and coconut. And then we have a salted caramel, which I love because I love caramel.
Well, I love all of them.
Oh, thank you.
I can't wait.
I do too.
Can't wait. Actually, a couple of weeks ago, you were so kind to let us share some of your cupcakes, and I hadn't planned to share. I had planned to eat them all, and I took them home, and I barely got one of them.
Oh, no.
Family loved them.
Oh, great.
Now, you mentioned, and tell me if I heard correctly, that you are operating out of is it a firehouse? So tell us about that. That's interesting.
Yeah, they have a banquet hall, and there's a commercial kitchen inside of the banquet hall.
Okay.
So we operate inside of the kitchen inside of the banquet hall. And we run their concession stand twice a week, as they have the Firehouse Bingo every Monday and Thursday. And that's basically it. We've been there since 2006, and they're so gracious to have us there and allow us to utilize that space to grow our business.
Right. Well, out of all these flavors, what seems to be the favorite of your clients?
Red velvet. Everybody
Really?
loves
Everybody
red
loves
velvet.
red velvet.
Everybody. You know what I think it is?
What?
I think it's the color. I think that's
Yeah,
what it is.
yeah. It is a really pure red color. I mean, it kind of grabs you.
And they get excited about it. It's not a chocolate, it's not a vanilla, it's just a red velvet cupcake, and everybody loves that one.
So now let me ask you, are you online with, can people order from you online?
Well, they can visit us on the web, www.cheflynnette.com. They cannot actually order online, but they can email us, and then we can send them the list of flavors, and we can talk about their vision for their event, and then we just go from there.
Right. Well, I think the life of a chef, from what I can see on the other side of the TV screen, is an exciting one. Can you tell us what a day is like in the life of Lynnette?
It depends on the day. We're literally all over the place, and like most small businesses, the owner wears a lot of hats, to be honest with you. So you may find me at a farmer's market, you may find me, teaching a class. I'm usually inside the kitchen baking. It just depends on what the day is like. Generally at the beginning of the week, we look at the orders for the week on a big calendar, and it'll say this day is this day is this. Our catering orders are printed out, the directions of how we get there. The farmers markets lists are made, what we want to bring to each farmers market. So just depending on the day, it could include baking, it could include teaching, it could include delivering, it could include all of the above.
How early does your day start and how late does it end?
I generally try to start around 9:30 to give myself a little bit of time in the morning, and then it may end 9:30 the next day, or it may end at midnight. Wow. It just depends on what we have to do. Yeah. It really, really does. I mean, some days we work 16 to 17 hours, and some days we work 3 or 4, and then when I get home, my mom is like, "You're home early? What's going on?" What's going on
Did
here?
you lose a client?
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, no, I just snuck away. So it just depends on what the day is. It could be a multitude of things that we have to do.
That you have to do every day.
Which I love.
Well, you mentioned about farmers markets, so I think that's really neat. I've been to a few farmers markets, and I've always stopped at the cupcake table, the dessert table, because that's my weakness. But tell us about how that relationship started and what you do and some of the markets that you frequent.
Okay. Well, it's funny because I always like to go to farmers markets, so I just started going, driving around, seeing different farmers markets, and I stopped before I started my business. I stopped, and actually before I got the commercial kitchen space, there was a farmers market that let me in to sell baked goods. Wow. To actually do that. So I came and just started doing cinnamon rolls and things like that. And then after I got the kitchen, I started to explore the surroundings to see what other markets are out there, and I found out there are literally probably 100 in this area.
Really?
Definitely. There are so many farmers markets, especially in DC. Almost in every neighborhood there's a farmers market,
really?
Whether it be small or large. Some of them are much bigger than others, and some of them are a little small, just community markets. Right. We just started applying to them, and the more people got to taste our baked goods, they started to love them. And then from there, you'll get recommendations for other markets. Customers will tell you, oh, there's a market in my neighborhood, you should come and apply to this market. So we'll go apply to that one. And then they started accepting us. So we are in 2 in Fairfax County. We're at the one in Kingstown on Fridays from 4 to 7. We go to the one at the Government Center from 3 to 7. We're at 2 in Washington, 3 in DC, I'm sorry. Wow. One at the Ronald Reagan Building, one in Columbia Heights, and one in UDC. And then we also do one every once in a while at the National Geographic Museum in DC on 17th Street. Okay.
So. Now, you said something in there that I had not heard of before, and you said that you have to apply.
You do.
I thought it was just a matter of calling up, say, hey, we'd like to have a table. So has it gotten that sophisticated?
Oh, yeah. I wish it were that easy. I wish it were that
so
easy.
So it sounds like farmers market is a big business now.
Very big business.
How does that application process work?
All of them are different. Generally, they just ask about your business. What do you want to sell? Where's your business located? On and on and on, things like that. But the biggest part, the hardest part about getting into the markets is the competition. There are a lot of people that do what you do, and you don't realize it until you start to apply to these farmers markets. So we literally applied to about 30 farmers markets this year and got accepted into 7. So that just shows you the competitive nature of the farmers market. And some of them, you have to actually start the year prior. So if there's a market that starts in May, you start to apply in November. And then you have to go to interest meetings. And once you go to the interest meeting, they have all of the market masters or market managers is what they call the heads of the market. You have to bring samples. They'll try your samples. If they like you, they'll accept you into their market. I mean, there's a whole process, and all of them are a little bit different, but they're all along the same lines of introduce your product, talk to the market manager, be persistent, and apply to a lot of them if you want to get into a small amount of them. Wow. Unless you have a niche product, but everybody bakes these days, and everybody does crepes, and everybody does this and this and this, so unless you're totally unique, it's going to be competitive.
So do you have to come with your own table, or do they give you a setup? Can you select where you're going to be positioned?
You can never select that because everybody wants the front of the market.
Right.
But some markets you do have to bring your own tables, your own tent, and your own tent weights. These like you can put sand in buckets to create a weight for your tent. An interesting story I'll say really quickly. One market that we went to, a lot of people didn't have the tent weights, and we didn't even know about having the weights for the tent. This wind came through and flipped about 5 tents over. It broke about 4 tents, and somebody actually almost got hit by a tent. So now the markets are really, really, really sticklers for having these tent weights.
Yeah, it's a safety.
It's
a big safety.
A safety concern.
Right.
So some of them you have to bring your own tent to get back on track, your own tables, your own weights, and then there are some that actually set it up for you, and those are like godsends. When you can just come and just set your stuff up, the table's there, the tent's already there, that's perfect, but it's not common.
Well, you brought up another point when you're talking about safety of the tents. What about, are there any applications or any certifications that you have from the health department?
You do.
Or does the market itself take care of that?
No, they don't. You have to have a liability policy for your business. You have to have a business license, and in some cases you do have to show your food inspection from the health inspector. You have to show that as well. Certain states and counties require that. DC doesn't, but Virginia and Maryland do.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is really an eye-opener for me, because I had no idea that it had gotten that sophisticated.
Oh, yeah.
With the farmers market. Now, do you go out of town any? Are you, everything that you do, is it local, or do you get opportunities to service your clients out of town?
We do have a few clients that are out of town. Those are really celebrity clients, to be honest with you. They may have like a larger event and say, we love your stuff, can you come out of town? We've been to New York twice. We've been to Philadelphia. We've been to a few different places to do cupcakes, actually.
That is really fantastic. What is your farm? I'm just curious, because I just think that's so neat. I can envision a dad in the kitchen with little daughter, teaching her how. What role does he actually play in your business?
Well, he helps us deliver sometimes. He'll come and help deliver. He'll help us set up. He'll encourage me. He'll say, you're doing a great job. I'm very proud of you. He's like the backbone. You know what I mean? He was a little bit nervous when I first started, because I left a career as a program director. I just got a master's degree, then to go to culinary school. I was a little bit nervous, but now he's just so proud. When we drove our delivery van, we brought it to the house, and he was like, give me a pound. And he did like that. And my mom is always with me, so she's always excited. She was just waiting there to see his face when he looked at the van, and he said, give me a pound, I'm so proud of you. So both of them are great.
That's great. Well, we're going to take a short station break, but we'll be right back after these important announcements. So don't touch that dial.
Cook foods to the right temperature using a food thermometer. 3,000 Americans will die from food poisoning this year. Keep your family safer. Check your steps at foodsafety.gov.
You're watching Rock Your Block, and our special guest today is Chef Lynnette Jackson of Lynnette's Cakes and Catering. Lynnette, before the break, you mentioned something about not the farmer's market, but the teaching a class. And could you tell me a little bit more about that?
Sure. I have taught a lot of different classes. I taught as a Wilton method instructor for a few years at Michael's, and then I also taught at Living Social. We taught over 700 people at Living Social, and along a different 12 classes, 4 weeks. And we've also taught at our kitchen space. Our classes are basically for the beginner that just wants to get their hands wet in cake decorating. Generally, I try to let them take away a completed project. So when I was teaching at Living Social at their live event center, everybody made a 6-inch cake covered in fondant with a fondant bow. And everybody left, they felt such a sense of accomplishment, and it really isn't that difficult. I try to let people know, because I like simple decorations. I don't like over the top, too elaborate. I like simple, pretty, and noticeable. And every time I teach a class, I try to let people know that cake decorating is really not that difficult. It's something that you really can do. You can make your kids' cakes, you can make your mom's cake, you can make your own cake, and it's really not that hard. It's something you can do. But like I was saying, everybody takes home a 9-inch or a 6-inch round cake. I show you how to put a crumb coat on it, which is a very thin layer of frosting that keeps all your crumbs in the cake. I may show you how to cover it in fondant. I may show you how to put a buttercream border around it. I show you how to write something on it. All of that within 1.5 hours.
Wow.
The cake is already baked though.
Yeah.
The cake is already baked,
yeah.
but all of that within 1.5 hours.
Well, I'm curious, at your classes, do you have classes for children? And what about the men? Are you getting men?
We had a
in your
few guys
classes?
in our class. We had a few guys.
Yeah, how did that work for you?
You know what? They liked it, but it was so funny. When they come in, they're kind of like, yes, I'm here. You know what I mean? Like, I'm in a cake decorating class, but as time goes on, they're more competitive with everybody else because they want to prove I can decorate cakes too. So they have just as much fun as everybody else. And it's really fun to see how everybody interprets their cake decoration because I'll show them a cake that's already finished. And it's very simple, a nice little bow, a nice little border around it. But everybody just gets so into it because it's almost like it's something they always wanted to try, but they almost was, I don't really have the supplies. I don't really want to, invest this into it. When they come to the class, like that creativity just like pours out of them. And then everybody wants to show you what they did. Like, look at my cake, look at my cake. Let's take a picture with my cake. So I love it. Yeah. I really, really love it.
What about the kids? Do you ever get kids?
I had a few kids. They were maybe like 12 years old.
Oh, okay.
I had more kids at classes that I've taught like a cookie decorating class at the Smithsonian. You'll have a couple more kids or something like that there. In the class, I think the youngest was 12. And they were really excited too, just to be able to make a mess and not to get in trouble for it,
Well, let's shift a little bit because, of course, everything you have here is beautiful and you just make it look like it's just fun. But as you said earlier, you're a small business owner, and I would imagine you had to start from scratch. How difficult or easy is it to get into the catering business?
I'll say this, it's easy to get in, but it's hard to stay in. I'll just put it that way. Anybody can say, you know what, I want to cater, I want to do baked goods, I'm just going to start advertising to friends. You can do this elaborate business plan, but after you start to go through the daily operations and things start to hit that you did not expect or you didn't write into your business plan or you didn't think would ever happen, that's when it gets difficult. And that's when it's a little bit harder to stick with it and to say, you know what, I'm going to ride it out and see my dream actually become a reality. There are days where you do want to quit, because it's, like I said, it's easy to get in. You always have people that want to eat, but let your refrigerator break or your freezer, break down on you and everything in it has to go in the trash can and you just spent $700, those things can be really detrimental to a small business because most of us, we struggle with working capital. We struggle with, different things that any little thing that happens, a person calling out of work, can just really mess up your whole production. So, not that it's all negative, but there are things that happen. I know that your family is a big part of your business, but do you ever get into situations where you have to contract and bring in more help? And if so, how do you find the extra help? Yeah, we found a few people on Craigslist that wanted to work for us. Okay. Word of mouth, somebody may know someone that's looking for a job and we'll bring them in for an interview. Because we do have people on staff that are not family members. And we found them in many different ways. One of the people that we found, they were a cake decorator and we saw them decorating, one day and we just approached her and said, would you be interested in coming in? And helping us, to help decorate cupcakes. So we find them in all different ways. And with anything, you have to find the right fit. We've had a lot of turnover, people, they work there for a little bit. You just have to find the right fit because it all seems fun, like you said before, but when you get an order for 1,000 cupcakes and you're there for, a long time and just, frosting cupcakes and mixing and things, you get tired.
1,000 cupcakes. About how long would it take you to do that?
Not as long as you think it would actually, because
a month?
No.
You have to freeze those bad boys.
Yes, exactly. We can actually get 1,000 done in a day, to be honest with you.
Really?
Oh yeah, because we have 2 double-decker convection ovens. Each of them has 5 racks. You can bake 24 on each rack. And we have 2 big mixers. We can mix about 300 cupcakes at one time. So if you just do that 3-4 times, you have your cupcakes.
You have your cupcakes.
We have it down now because we do it so often. We've been in business for a long time that 1,000 wouldn't scare me. I had somebody call me up 2 weeks ago. I need cupcakes. Are you sure you can do it? I said, of course I can. How many do you need? I need 36. I said, oh.
36?
I can bake that now.
So, I think I could even do that.
Exactly. Yeah, we can do that.
Well, Lynnette, where do you see your business? Where do you see your business in 5 years from now? I mean, where do you want to be?
I want to become a household name. I want everybody to know about Lynnette's Cakes and Catering. We want to eventually have a warehouse space that produces a lot of cupcakes so that we can put them into stores. We have some food products that eventually we want them to be in the freezer section. So our whole thing is to get our products in as many hands as possible. That's really what we want to do. It may not be a retail space, but we want it to be in stores. So that's what we see ourselves in 5 years. A lot of people knowing about Lynnette's Cakes and Catering, constantly growing, constantly expanding, and coming up with new products that people love and will want to eat in their homes.
Well, we surely hope that your being on our show will help a little bit
I think it will.
to get that word out there. And I know I have been talking to you about, thinking about even hosting a segment here with us.
That
so
would be great.
we'll continue those discussions.
Definitely.
To see how that works. So you told us about your hands-on, your decorating class. Here's something that comes up, and if you're uncomfortable talking about this, we can move on to the next question. But how do you handle naysayers? I know that in businesses, small businesses, someone will get an idea and they're so excited about it. They tell the family about it. They tell their friends about it and their coworkers, and it's just like, what are you gonna do that for? And it's just, I mean, how do you overcome that type of reaction?
Well, one thing about myself, I made a promise to myself that I would only surround myself with people who saw the possibility of the vision that I had. And if they didn't, I had to kind of move away from them. And it may seem, kind of extreme, but you really have to guard everything that goes into your mind, into your heart, and comes out of your mouth. Because every time you allow anything to go here, you're going to start to believe it yourself. So if there is a naysayer, I just move away from them. Because I don't, people would say, well, what if you fail? And I always said failure is not an option. Because even if this business doesn't work out, something else will. And I'll learn something from this to take to the next thing. So there's never failure. Never. Because you're always going to take something from everything. From our freezer breaking. You know what I mean? Somebody may say, well, there you go. That's what I was telling you. Things are going to go wrong. I said, well, the freezer broke. We threw everything away. We know next time to always stay on top of it, to keep on checking and to make sure we have a backup freezer.
Right.
So everything to me is just, you're always going to have people that are going to say things. But for me, I just move away from it. I surround myself with only positivity. On days where I feel, like giving up, I speak positive things to myself and say, you started this for a reason. You know it's going to be something great one day. You've already done all these great things, so why doubt?
Right, and so you don't spend time, like some people, I talked to one small business owner, and they really take the time to try and make people understand why, they want to do this and why they're just like trying to convince them. So you don't really spend the time in trying to convince anybody about your goal and your vision.
I never felt like I owe anybody an explanation for the things that I want to pursue in my own life. So if this is something that I want to do, I really don't owe anybody an explanation as to why. Because everything that I see here, I can't expect anybody else to see it because it's in my mind. I see this huge picture, and you may only see this, but that may be your own reality.
Right.
My reality is totally different.
Right.
And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just different. So for me, I'm always going to lead or follow the vision that I have here. And one day, I pray that it comes to pass.
Right. I believe it will. I do. I believe it will. We didn't talk about your thoughts. What do you think about global? Do you have any thoughts about becoming like an international company? Or are you pretty much
really
here in America? You just
Yeah, not really. I mean, I don't really know if the product will be transferable globally, I guess you can say. I mean, everybody has their own thing in their own area, and I just want to really operate in this area, the United States, and just do the best job I can do here and get to as many people as I can across the United States of America. So we really haven't thought about global or anything like that. Just want to do the best here.
Just to do the best that you can here.
And I also don't want my product to suffer because it has to travel somewhere really, really far away. You know what I mean? I want to just get the people that I can get to, do the best I can, and just go from there.
And just stay from here. Just stay from here. That's good. Do you think that as you move towards your 5-year goal, and you mentioned a business plan, so that's good to hear because a lot of small businesses just have not done that. Everything they have is like right here in their heads. And so are you a proponent of having a solid, robust business plan?
I am, and mine is not as solid as I would like it to be honest with you. I am, but I'll say a problem that I have with the plan that I wrote, there are always going to be unexpected things. You cannot write that into a business plan. So you know, even though you have a lot of things in there that kind of, you know, steer you here, life happens and you're going to be steered in the direction that life happens sometimes. So I definitely think you should have it because you want to know where you're going, why you're going there, who's your competition when you get there, what kind of access to capital do you need and everything like that. But also just know in your mind that things are going to be a little bit different than what's on paper. And at the beginning, I didn't really realize that. I wrote down all these elaborate figures and this was going to happen and this was going to happen. And then when it didn't, I was like, oh no, you know what I mean? Like, what do I do now? You know what I mean? You have to kick yourself and say, wake up. You know, that was paper. Things are going to happen and you just have to be able to adjust. So I'm definitely a proponent of it, but I also think that you have to have in your mind things are going to happen and be strong enough to handle them and move past it.
And to move past that. Well, Lynnette, I want to take this opportunity to thank you so much.
Oh, thank you.
You know, this has just been fun, and I can't wait to
dig in.
To dig in, that's right. Well, our time is up, and we have enjoyed being invited into your home or place of business. Chef Lynnette is hopefully going to be joining us real soon, so expect to see her soon, where she will demonstrate and educate us on the joys of cooking and eating. Please tune in weekly for Chef Lynnette. You see, I'm trying to get her to say okay here. Listen, have a great weekend, and we'll see you real soon. Bye-bye.